Hi guys, James at Rampant Lion Reviews again for you today with another beer review. For this one we are going to head over to Canada once again. We're going to go back to PEI, Prince Edward Island, and we're having a taste of another beer that my friend Alicia brought back with me from a recent trip over there. So a huge thank you to Alicia for making this review possible. For this one we're going to return to the provincial capital, which is Charlottetown, and we're having a taste of my first beer from Upstreet Craft Brewing. So this one is the Island Hopspitality. It's a New England style IPA, or a Vermont style IPA as they're calling it, coming in at 6.5%, and the hops in this one are Ella from Australia, and then Sticklebract and Southern Cross, which are from New Zealand. So it should be really interesting. That I've always enjoyed the New Zealand hopped beers, so definitely looking forward to this one. From what I gather, this beer is a yearly release, and they change the hops and some of the malts and things like that. Basically they retweak the beer every year, so I'll name the video for this one Island Hopspitality 2018, and hopefully I can try some of the future variants of this at some point. But it should be a really interesting beer. As always, I'm looking forward to it, and I hope you guys enjoy my take on this one. So anyway, as is usual with my reviews, then I'll tell you a little bit about the brewery. If you want to get straight to the tasting, just fast forward. All the usual links are in the description below. That's the brewery website, the link to my future reviews that hopefully I can do from Upstreet Craft Brewing. Very first time I'm trying one of their beers, of course, but hopefully I can add some more in the near future. There's all the usual social media. If you want to see more beer reviews, do please consider subscribing to the channel. The whole channel, of course, has a geography-based tagging system, so you can go into the homepage and search for beer based on country, city, state, county, prefecture, whatever it is you're interested in. Do check out the playlist of beers from different countries. There is one there for all the Canadian beers that I've reviewed for you. That's being added to whenever I can. Like I've complained about many a time, Canadian beer is like gold dust. It's very difficult to get a hold of, but as always, please do get in touch and let me know some of the other beers and breweries that you guys would like to see me review. It's always great to hear from you guys that are watching the videos, and the support you show the channel is hugely appreciated. So anyway, to tell you a little bit about Upstreet Craft Brewing then, on to my brewery notes. So as I mentioned earlier, Upstreet Craft Brewing are based in Charlottetown, the provincial capital of Prince Edward Island, PEI, over in Canada, and the company was founded by three guys. So it's Mitch Cobb, Michael Hoagie Hogan, and Joey Seaman. So Mike was an engineer by trade, and he oversees the beer production, while Mitch and Joey came from business and marketing backgrounds. So they do have quite a pedigree actually to start up a brewery. So Hoagie apparently had been a home brewer for a number of years. He started back in 2006, and then in 2013, after their friends seemed to be really enjoying the home brews, the group decided to look more seriously at the idea of opening up their own brewery. So they drew up a business plan and got the brewery going, and eventually it opened up in June of 2015 on Allen Street in Charlottetown, and then later this year in 2018 they've also added a second location which is called Craft Beer Corner, and that can be found on the corner of Kent Street and Great George Street in the city. And by the looks of the photos, they've got a bar in there, they've got a little bit where you can buy lots of different craft beers and things like that. I think it's mainly Atlantic Canadian beers that they've got, because there are all these rules about moving beers between provinces in Canada. But yeah, it looks like a really nice little spot, so hopefully I can get out to Prince Edward Island at some point and have a little look at that. It would be quite cool to go out and see that. But these guys, I think, are one of the newer craft breweries. From what I gather at the moment in PEI, there's about 7 different craft breweries there, and these guys were the third one to open up. So that was after the last one, the Prince Edward Island Brewing Company. I'm not sure what the second one was, but these guys were the third craft brewery to start up. And apparently the provincial, you know, in PEI they've got something similar to what we have in Sweden. They do have a sort of state, it's not quite a monopoly, but they do have the PEI liquor stores, which is pretty cool, and apparently they were very supportive of getting the craft brewery up and running, which is pretty cool. So yeah, the third craft brewery to have started up on PEI, and from what I've heard they do some pretty nice beers as well. But that's all you really need to know about the brewery for just now. If you want to learn a little bit more, check out their Facebook page. You can follow them on Instagram and stuff like that as well, and you keep up to date with the latest goings on. I'll also put the brewery website for you in the description below, so do make sure you check that out. But that's all you need to know just now. Let's get on to the actual tasting of this beer itself. So like I mentioned at the start of the video, this one is a 6.5% New England IPA, or Vermont IPA as these guys are calling it. The hops in this one are Ella from Australia, and then Southern Cross and Sticklebract, both of which are from New Zealand. So yeah, on the side here it says, "This is a small island, everything and everyone is connected to each other, to PEI and to the world. We're known all over for our island hospitality. Once a year the the world's breweries unite to celebrate International IPA Day, and we're celebrating with a hoppy brew as unique as the island it hails from. Let's raise a glass to PEI, the connections and the beers that bring us together. And this is one of the things about this brewery as well I read on their website. They're a certified B Corporation. So this is basically, it's kind of like an environmental organisation that companies sort of sign up to, and it's all about basically doing good with business, both for the community and for the environment. So it's quite an interesting thing that they've signed up to there. But yeah, really nicely presented, this one. I do like this little beer profile thing that they've got on the side here as well. That's pretty cool. If you want to pause the video and take a little quick look at that, that might be worth doing. There is the Upstreet Craft Brewing bottle cap on this one. Quite nice. But yeah, nicely presented, this one. I'm not sure who it is that's on the bottle of this one, or that's on the label of this, but it looks really nice. And I've just noticed he's got 3 eyes. See that? It's almost like a tuatara, like the tuataras you get in New Zealand. It really does remind me of that little brewery. But yeah, nicely presented beer, this one. And there you can see, there's the outline of Prince Edward Island there as well, which is pretty cool. I always like when you have little local things like that on the bottle. But yeah, this one's a 500ml bottle, a half litre. Good German measurements for this one, which is what you always want. You don't want any of this fluid ounce or quart nonsense that you get over in North America sometimes. You want a good old half litre. So yeah, let's get this guy out then, and we'll get on with the tasting. So yeah, nice smoky opening on this one, and we'll get it out and into the glass. Oh, you can smell some of the lovely hoppy notes on this. It's lemons, straight up lemons that are coming out of this one. That'll do for the moment. So yeah, as you can see with this beer, turn the computer off just now so the screen's a bit better. But yeah, as you can see with this beer, this one's poured a nice, bright, yellowy golden colour. There's a solid 2 fingers of a frothy white head on this one. I would say it's maybe a little bit of a cream colour actually. It's not a perfect white head, but 1 or 2 big bubbles sticking towards the side of the glass, and quite a few little ones just heading up towards the bottom of that head there. But overall, it looks pretty much as you would expect from a New England IPA. If I put my fingers behind the glass, you can see it is pretty much opaque. There's not much in the way of transparency to that, but because of the oats and the wheat and things that you put in the beer, that is to be expected. So yeah, pretty much it appears as you would expect from a New England IPA. So let's take a closer look at the aroma and just see how we get on with this one then. Ooh, yeah, that smells nice. So for me, with this one, it's got a good little bit of grapefruit in there, but when you open the beer up, it really is lemons that come out of this one for you. So with the Sticklebracht hop, you'll get a lot of lemons out of it as well, and the Southern Cross as well will give you quite a lemony note, and usually it gives you a good bit of pine resin, and to some degree you can pick that up in the beer, but it also has a good little bit of floral aromaticity to it, which I'm guessing will be the Ella. But Ella, from what I remember, usually just, it gives you kind of straight up grapefruit, and you can pick up a little bit of that slightly darker, and it's a more sour flavour you get from grapefruit, right enough, but you can really pick up a little bit of that kind of darker, yeah, a little bit of that sort of darker grapefruity aroma in this beer. But yeah, there's definitely lemons in there. I think there's a wee bit of an almost limey quality coming out of this one as well, which is quite interesting considering the hops that are in it. So yeah, I think definitely a little bit of a limey quality to the beer. Yeah, definitely some lime in that. And the malt base is coming out quite nice as well. It's got a good little bit of a floral grassy note to it as well, like I was saying. So yeah, some nice oaty sweetness. Definitely a little bit of a kind of wheaty, bready note to the beer as well, and maybe, yeah, maybe a little bit of biscuit. Overall, the aroma to this one, it really is quite lemony. You know, if I was to smell this beer blind, I wouldn't have thought Southern Cross or Sticklebracht. The Sticklebracht, from what I gather, is actually quite an old hop. It comes from, I think it's actually from the 1970s that hop comes from, and I wouldn't have thought New Zealand was producing hops all that much away back then, but you know, apparently the Nelson area in New Zealand, they've been producing hops for around 150 years, and Sticklebracht is quite an interesting one because you don't see it used all that often. Southern Cross isn't one that's used all that often these days, at least in Europe. But then again, most of the hops used over here tend to be American. There's a few breweries that will use Galaxy from Australia and a few of the different New Zealand ones as well, but you don't ever see it really solely like this. So I guess this one, you could say this one's a Pacific New England IPA or something like that. but it does smell really nice. As I always say, just take a little bit of time and enjoy the aroma of the beer before you get stuck into it. It's always good to just let the beer open up. You can see the head, it's just faded away to be a bit of finger thick as well. But without further ado then, let's get stuck into this beer. So this one is the Island Hopspitality 2018 edition from Upstreet Craft Brewing in Charlottetown, the provincial capital of Prince Edward Island. Once again, thank you to Alicia for making this review possible. Let's get stuck into the beer. Slàinte, skål. Yeah, that's pretty nice actually. It's nice and smooth actually. It's got a very kind of clean feel to it actually, this beer. But yeah, I like how this one's coming across. It's got a little bit more of a, it really does have quite a good lemony flavour to it, this one. You can really feel that as it progresses into the aftertaste and things. It really is a little bit more melony and things, which is really kind of what you want actually. I love that because it's I'm saying melony, lemony. Brain's not working this morning. I thought I'd have this one before lunch because I quite like it. But yeah, with this beer, it's really smooth. That's the first thing you're going to notice about it. The malt base is kind of what you'd expect with this one. And I noticed this with the Gahan beer that I had before. I think there's a little bit of Canadian malt in this one. It does have a little bit of that slightly grainy quality. You can feel that coming out a little bit more as you go further into the aftertaste. So the middle of your tongue, where you'll get the malty flavours, is just blanketed with this nice, slightly bready quality. And as I say, the grains come out a little bit more as you go further into the aftertaste. On top of that, you get some of the kind of wheaty smoothness to it, but there's not too much wheat in this beer, I would say. Yeah, there's a little bit of wheat, but not all that much. Right in the middle of your palate, you can feel the nice, smooth, creamy oaty notes, and then down the centre of the palate you've got a little bit of that sweeter biscuity note coming out of the beer too. And I think there's some of the sweetness, it does push its way out a little bit more, and it just lifts a little bit. But overall, it's nice how the malt base goes together. I do like that little bit of grainy quality that the beer has. It's a little bit different from what you're normally going to find from a good number of the New England IPAs these days. Let's just put the last of it in and see how we get on with this. Maybe it will thicken up because I think there was a little touch of sediment in this one. So we'll just see what happens if we thicken the beer up a little bit. But yeah, that's a full half litre of this beer. As I say, I love it when you get the German measurements because they're always bigger. For some reason, there's a lot of breweries in England at the moment are copying the 440ml cans, and I think it's based on the fluid ounce system that they've got in America, which to me is stupid. Just use half a litre as all the European breweries do. I don't understand that. But let's see how we get on with this one now with the last part of the beer in it. Oh yeah, it's definitely a little bit thicker now. So I guess with this beer, if you're going to try it, you know, maybe give the bottle a roll or something like that. Just roll it along and let the stuff mix in. But I guess maybe this beer's a couple of weeks old or something like that, and that's why there's a little bit of sediment. But just roll it and let the oats and stuff mix in. I mean, it's all natural and it does add to the flavour of the beer. But yeah, it definitely becomes a little bit more wheaty when you do that, and you also get more out of the oats as well, and a little bit of the biscuit too. So just bear that in mind with this beer. On the hoppy side of the things, it kind of is what you would expect. In the back corners of the palate, you've got a little touch of earthiness there. As you come further forward along the sides of the tongue, you get that nice, almost dank, piney resin quality out of the beer, which is good. There's a little bit of a floral note to it as well, which is nice, but then round the very front curve of the palate, it's a little bit lighter and more grassy and things like that, which I do like actually. But yeah, everything in this beer actually goes together really nicely. I like that big dank kind of piney resin that this that beer has. But in terms of IBUs and stuff, I think this one's around 40. I think it's somewhere in that region. It's not too high, somewhere between 30 and 40 IBUs this beer, but that's common for the style. Round the very front curve of the palate, like I was saying earlier, you've got a nice little bit of a kind of grassy note, and then behind the front curve of the palate, of course, that's where you get that little oily bubble where those juicy, fruity esters start to come out of the beer. For me with this one, you can detect that there's a little bit of a grapefruit quality just underpinning the beer, and on top of that, as you go further and further into the flavour, you start to get more of the lemons. It really is the lemons for me that start to push their way out a little bit, but at the same time you can feel that kind of grapefruit anchor to the beer. It's very kind of straight up, this one, which I like. It's very straight up in its kind of citrusy quality. I would say in the front, at the very centre of your palate, at the front, you know, the very tip of your tongue almost, there is a little touch of a limey quality to this one, which is interesting too. But overall, you know, this is a really interesting beer. I think it's one that's kind of simple in what it's trying to do, but it does it, you know, really quite well actually. And on the basis of this one, I would be very curious to try some of the other beers that that these guys have produced. You know, this is a good quality beer, that. So thumbs up to Upstreet Craft Brewing on this one. They've put something together that here which is quite nice. It reminds me, there seems to be an increase in popularity of the Centennial hop in recent times, and you know, the ones that they're using this, the Sticklebracht and the Southern Cross, you know, you probably could switch them for that because of the nice lemony qualities actually, but I think the lemons in these ones are a little bit sharper. I've always found the Centennial is almost a little bit more sherbety, if that makes sense, but it's a really nice beer, this one. Have a go at it for yourself and see what you think. So yeah, I'd love to see what these guys could do with a West Coast IPA, because as I say, when I've mixed the sediment and stuff into that, it really gives the beer just that little bit more body, and when you do that, I think it really starts to come alive. But in terms of the mouthfeel with this one then, mid-bodied, carbonation's pretty smooth on this one. Overall, the mouthfeel, it has a good bit of creaminess to it, this one, and it's got a little touch of oily quality to it. Overall, it leans more towards the creamy side of things, which kind of is what you would want from the New England IPAs, and I guess with the proximity to New England, you know, they are kind of pretty spot on with the mouthfeel, and that's not surprising. There's a good little bit of hoppy bitterness to this one. Like I said, I reckon around 40 IBUs at most for this beer, somewhere between 30 and 40, with a malt base, nice smooth creamy quality to it, a little bit of sweetness like I was saying, and a little bit of juicy fruit to the beer as well, but with a little bit of that darker grapefruity flavour just anchoring the beer, and mainly lemons and limes and a little bit of lime in this one too. But overall, a really nice beer. Certainly wouldn't hesitate to drink it again, and this one makes me very curious to try some of the other things from Upstreet Craft Brewing. So yeah, I guess that's a good place to leave it with this beer. Another very, very solid beer from Prince Edward Island. I'm glad I was able to review this one. So once again, thank you to Alicia for making this review possible. This was the Island Hopspitality, if I can say that properly, the 2018 edition from Upstreet Craft Brewing in Charlottetown, the provincial capital of PEI over in Canada. Once again, thank you for watching my beer reviews. Until the next time, please like, subscribe, share, all the usual YouTube stuff. Check out my social media. Let me know your own thoughts on this beer in the comment section below. Let me know what your favourite beers are from Upstreet Craft Brewing. Do let me know some other PEI beers that I should have a look at as well, because Alicia will be going home at another point. She said she'll bring me some more beers when she gets the chance. But yeah, been really cool to review this one. I hope you've enjoyed my take on it, and I will catch you guys very soon. The Island Hopspitality 2018 from Upstreet Craft Brewing in Charlottetown over in PEI in Canada. Until the next time, it's Landry just now, and I will catch you guys later. Skål.